Hi, welcome to this session on SNORT configuration. In the previous session, we were discussing how to install SNORT. I hope you were able to install SNORT. If you are facing problems, okay, some of the problems will be able to solve in the forum, but then many of the problems if you face, the best place is to look into the web and then try to see how to fix the problem. So, we will not be able to solve all of your problems. So, please go ahead and look into the web and try to fix the installation of SNORT if you have any problems. We will now proceed with how to configure SNORT and how to write the rules. We will also show a very small demo where we try to detect the ICMP packets. Someone who tries to ping from another machine, we will write rules to show how to detect ICMP packets. I hope you are all familiar with the rules that we discussed in the theory section about 2 or 3 modules back. If not, please recollect so that we can frame the rules and do intrusion detection. So, let us now start with configuration of SNORT. So, if you look at this, what we need to do is we had actually installed SNORT in the directory called DAQ 2.0.6 and then SNORT 2.9.11.1, and what we will do right now is we will now try to create files and directories to store the configuration of SNORT. See, let us not use the default configuration of SNORT. We will copy the default configuration that comes along with SNORT into a separate directory, and in that directory we will make the changes and we will use SNORT to run from that, to use the configuration from file from that directory which we had created new. So, because of this, what we are doing is initially we are trying to create many of the directories. So, here it is, we are creating a SNORT directory. Since we have already created it for you, it will say the directory already exists, but then we will see that all these directories could be created and have been created before. See, you need not use, if you are already in the administrator mode, you need not use sudo every time. So, let us now try to go ahead and see whether all these files have been created. Yes, we have created pre-processing rules directory has been created. Then see, you see in this case that we have created both the rules and we have just blocked it saying that rules and pre-proc rules. The reason why we have created already is, as I told you, it will take a lot of time. So, we are actually reducing the time spent on getting this configuration up and running. So, in your case you have to execute all the step that is given on the left hand side of your screen in the Word document. So, that is why we are given you all the commands. So, you can try those commands one by one, and you have to create directories for whitelist, for blacklist, and then something on local rules. Okay. So, let us go through this process quickly. So, let us see whether we have got our other directories created. So, we look into the var directory and we see that there is a SNORT that is created. Then we will go and see whether we have created SNORT dynamic rules, and then we will also look at the whitelist rules and the blacklist rules. Okay. So, here we see that this directory is also created, and then we will look at whitelist, blacklist, and so we have created almost all these things. So, this is no fun. I mean, those who have taken the previous sessions on Unix will know how to do all these operations. And once we have done this, okay, so what we will have to do is we will have to ensure that the file permissions are correct. Okay. So, that is what exactly you see from this sudo chmod -rc, all these things should have the sticky bit. Okay. So, we have to change the file mode 775. So, read write x and then read only kind of files. So, you have to create all these files, and then what you do is then go to the place where SNORT is installed. So, in our case we have installed SNORT within DAQ. Okay. So, if you had installed it separately, it is okay, you can go to this and then you take all the default configuration files that are there in SNORT and then copy it into your directory from where we are going to work. So, that is exactly what we are doing. So, what we are doing is we are copying all the star.conf files, star.map files, star.dtd files and copying it into etc/snort. Okay. So, we will be doing the same thing for star.config files also. So, because this if I put the line will be too long. So, I just split it into two commands. So, these two commands. So, let us now copy those files. See, I have also made a small error, okay, in the sense that previously I had something which I had configured. Now, what I have done is I have overwritten all the configuration, which essentially means my whatever I had tried to do a demo in the previous this thing which I tested, now this whole configuration is lost. Now, these are all some things that could happen to you also. So, then finally, we found out that when I was executing one of these commands, I mean I was seeing that the configuration file was not correct, and then I had to correct the configuration file and then get it working. So, these type of bugs will also happen. So, here is what I have done, I have just overwritten whatever I was working for me, okay, and so when I was testing it. So, before I started this course I had to test all this. So, now it was working for me. So, what I do after this is, so this is the part, okay, this part I mean this is a single command. So, if you look at this sudo cp is a single command. So, essentially I am trying to move the user local libs not dynamic preprocessor there. Now, this sudo is said, okay, what it tries to do is I am trying to mask off all the rules. See, because the more the rules, the slower the snort is going to be. So, what I am trying to do is I am trying initially I use this set script, okay, to mask off all the rules of snort and then only open up those rules which I want to do. Okay. So, I will open up only the local dot rules, there are other rules for filtering the packets. Okay. So, all those files are there, I do not want to include any of those files because this is just a demo session. In practice you will be opening up all those files also. So, what I do is in one shot, okay, in the configuration file snort.conf I am just masking off all the rule file, and this since I thought I had already done it, okay, now I have overwritten this snort.conf. I will show you that those files still have those rules. Okay. So, let us take a look at that snort.conf file. So, let us move down. Okay. And if you look at the include, okay, so this we have to include, so here it is. So, if you look at this, my idea was to mask all these rules except the local rules. Okay. So, because the local rules is one which I want to dictate, but unfortunately I had previously I had done it, now I had actually overwritten the file, and because I have overwritten the file I still have not executed this command. Because I have not executed this command, all these files are still included in snort by default. Okay. So, later I will just run this script and then show that these files have been excluded, okay, by putting a hash in front of it. So, anyway let us, so this is how the site rules are there specified in snort. So, we will see all the rules. Now, all these rules are enabled right now which we do not want because it is going to slow down your system. You have different kinds of policies. So, you can just see how many types of rules can be specified. Okay, you can also use dynamic rules. Okay, so, this is a part of the snort's configuration file. Now, we will have to edit this file. Okay. So, we will have to edit the file to set up something like our network address and then what are all the stuff. So, what we will do is this local dot rules is the one file we will add, okay, before we start snort. Okay. So, before we go to add this local dot rules file, okay, what we will do is we will just, and this is the local dot rules that we are supposed to add. Okay. So, what we will do is we will come out of this, okay, we will search for, say for example here. So, one of the configuration changes we have to make in snort.conf is this. So, currently you see that IPvar variable of home net, okay, is it says any net. So, set up the network address you are protecting. So, for me in my local machine I have this network address 192.168.0.0/24, that is the mask is 255.255.255.0. So, that I have set it as 24. So, this is my local net which I want to protect. So, I will change this home net in the snort.conf file. So, I will change it to 192.168. Actually my machine's IP address is 192.168.0. I think it is 5 or 6, one of this, because the attacking machine I kept it as 5 and this is 6 I think. Okay. So, now I have fixed the snort.conf file. So, as I told you, I had missed executing that sed. Okay. So, what I will do is I will now try to use this sed, okay, so that I do not skip any step. So, this is exactly what we are telling, sometimes you will skip any some steps. So, be careful. So, now that I have executed this line, you will see that all my include rules, okay, are now. So, this is a configuration inclusion, and here is here is a inclusion rules. You see everything is masked. So, I am just removing local dot rules. This means all the other rules are masked. So, I am just going to use the local rules alone for my demo. Okay. Then I will also set the other stuff. So, for example, external net is any, okay, that is okay. Then I will search for rule path, and then the rule path it says dot dot slash rules, which I do not want, because it is a local snorts rules. I want to move the rule path to etc slash snort that rules. So, the best way for this is please do not remove anything, okay, make a copy of the current rule path, okay, then mask the old rule path and then include the new rule path. Otherwise, you will not know what, in fact, it will be a better option for you even to write a comment saying that look, I have changed these paths. Okay. So, here we are. So, we have masked the previous 3 lines and then we are adding the new lines to configure the snort. So, etc snort rules, and then etc snort SO rules and all those things, dynamic rules, pre-processing rules, all these things we will change one by one. Here we are changing the dynamic rules, then we are changing the pre-processing rules, and we will go ahead and take a look at the other rules also, for example, blacklist, whitelist and all that. So, here we will go and change the blacklist, because we have copied this blacklist to a new directory in etc snort rules. So, it is change those blacklist and whitelist path also. Similarly, make a copy, then comment out the old stuff and then create the new path. Okay. So, once you create the new path, then what we should do is, after you create the new path, I think what we should do now is to test whether you are able to. Okay, so, here it is. So, now we have now set up the configuration file. There are 2 things that we should know. One, you have to test whether the configuration file is correct. So, for that you can just, before you go and edit this local dot rules file, you can now close this file and then execute this command. So, snort -t -i eth 0 or 1 depending on which interface you want to monitor, -c, okay, that is the configuration file. Now, if your configuration file is correct and it does not have any syntax error, you will get a message like this. We will see that, we will demo it and we will see that it will say snort successfully validated the configuration. Now, only after you validate successfully the configuration, you go and add the rules. Okay. In our case, we mix it because we already done it, so it works. So, but in your case, always validate this configuration file before you type the rules. So, let us go ahead and see whether we can. So, we will just close this, okay, and then we will edit the rules file. So, you will have to type the rules file. Okay. So, let us go to rules and then local dot rules, and here is what we had done in our theory session. So, here we say we have got 3 rules. Okay. Now, please again note that before you edit the rules files, please check the configuration using the previous command snort -t -i eth 0. Now, this eth 0 should match the interface address that you had given in the first home net. Okay. So, please be careful about it. And here you have the first line says that alert on any TCP connection if it is if someone tries to access port number 21, say that FTP connection is attempted. Then if someone tries to do a ping or ICMP probe, just say that ICMP connection is attempted, and then the third one says that if there is someone looks into your 80, then check whether web connection is attempted. So, these 3 rules we just have. You can write more rules. So, let us so this is just a read only file. So, I mean we mandatorily made it read only right now. So, then what we do is we now go ahead and then verify the configuration. I told you that we will be verifying the configuration. Remember, in our case it is Ethernet 1, okay, even though that cut and paste says Ethernet 0, we are monitoring the Ethernet 1 interface, and then I am trying to validate the configuration file. You see that this says snart successfully validated the configuration and snart is exiting. So, now that we have done it, okay, so now that we also added the rules. Now, remember all these things will take lot of time, do not make error with rule syntax and all that. So, once it is done, okay, so we will now run snart. Okay. So, we will now run snart. So, we will type the command snart. So, I run it in root mode, okay, -a console, which means what it says is that please log the messages on the console. Okay. And then it says -q -c, c is the configuration file, okay, and then it says -i, which is the interface you want to monitor, okay, and then leave it as it is, that is it. Now, your snart is configured to follow those 3 rules that we had seen earlier. Okay. So, now what I do is I have a Kali Linux in another virtual machine, and I have connected this Kali Linux along with this Ubuntu. So, here is the Kali Linux. So, here is what I have done. So, this Kali Linux is, we have this 192.168. So, what I do is now this Kali Linux will try to ping the other machine that is the machine where we have configured snart. Okay. So, now I try to ping it. So, it says it receives the ping. So, let us now go back to the snart configuration, and you see that the snart print starts printing the log message saying that ICMP connection is attempted. Okay. So, that you remember giving the -q option for capturing the log. So, this -q is called the quiet option. It does not print lot of headers and all that, because I want only these logs along to be given to me. So, if you see this, this guy goes ahead and then starts showing the attempts of the ping, and in this way, okay, so we have been able to detect that someone has been trying to ping our network and alert has been sent. Now, life is much more complicated, but this is just a demo session. Hope you are able to follow step by step, even though we had run it through it very fast. I think from your point of view, this whole step we believe should take somewhere between 1 to 2 hours if there are no errors, and if there are errors it is from 2 hours, it could be any time. Okay. So, try this out, and probably you could also look at putting more complicated rules and then see whether this stuff works. Okay. Now, your configuration is all set up. Now, you have to put the rules at the appropriate place, you have to enable certain rules which we have masked in the snart.conf file. You might have to modify certain rules. So, just go through each one of these files whenever you have time, and then learn more about intrusion detection and how we can prevent it. Thank you very much.